Welcome to another episode of Like or Dislike, where I review AAA, indie, and VR games. I do a review of the game, the mechanics, graphics, and my thoughts after playing it. And if you're thinking about getting the game, I do a pros and cons at the end, help you decide if it's worth spending your money on. Now, as always, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you ain't already subscribed, and check out more reviews on other games that I do. Now, today we are looking at Scars Above. Now, in my opinion, this was a very fun and a good take on a third-person shooter / survival with some impressive puzzles to solve. And the game rewards you if you take that extra time to go looking around and exploring. Now, story-wise, an object appears above Earth and you're part of a team sent to investigate it. When you make contact with the object, your team is transported to an alien world and you have to track down your teammates while figuring out what's really going on. Now, first off, you can imagine how this would be like most typical games, but you are a scientist in this one. You're not no super soldier. You're not some gifted person with strength and all that. You are a scientist, but that plays a big part into the way this game plays. So when you encounter enemies, when you see things in the world, you analyze them for their weakness so you can fight them better or understand it better. Like I said, when you fight enemies, you try to find out what they're weak against. Some are weak to certain elemental damage, some are weak to different combinations of damage, and you learn and find the best way to fight them. Some of them you realize and learn it's better to fight them distance than to fight them up front. Some you realize take more damage melee than with weapons. And I thought that was pretty cool. Every time you took down an enemy, especially when it was a brand new one, you get a whole bunch of data and you're experimenting with your loadouts, trying to find out which weapons, which loadouts work best. And I thought that was pretty cool. It really made me think instead of just kind of mindlessly going through killing everything. Now, when it comes to your weapons and your equipment, you craft a lot of it, like I said, by analyzing structures, creatures, finding weaknesses in them, and finding tech lying around, which can give you a defensive or an offensive ability depending on your playstyle. Like I had an overshield that I would use, and when I had enemies that would spit acid at me, I would put that overshield on so I could not take an acid effect debuff on me, and I hit them with my ranged weapon because my ranged weapon caused them a lot of damage. But if I got up close on them, they caused me a lot of melee damage. So there's a small example of how equipment and learning how your enemies and using your weapons. Now, you can upgrade yourself by acquiring knowledge stones that are spread around the world. You have 4 tiers and it's easy to unlock them, honestly. All you have to do is unlock 3 perks in each tier to get to the next tier. Now, finding these stones you would think would probably be super hard. They're going to be well hidden. You have to find every single stone to unlock every perk. And honestly and truthfully, some are hidden, but majority of them aren't. If you just take the time to look around, you find them. You even have an ability that helps them be more discoverable once you unlock it. So it helps you track them down. Now, the next thing you would think, well, you probably need all these stones to unlock every ability. Honestly, you don't. I actually went through and found all the stones. I think I may have missed a couple, but I had all the abilities unlocked before the end of the game, and I still had skill points to use, so they were just basically sitting there. So I thought that was pretty nice. Now, as far as the puzzles, and it's where some people may like or may hate the game. You have a good mix of puzzles to solve, some that could be multi-level stages where you have to examine different things going back and forth, looking for clues and coming back to them. And some of them just gonna really scratch your head and make you think, and then when you realize, you're gonna be like, I was so dumb. But they are really challenging. To me, that broke the omnius of constantly trying to be killed by everything. That you had these little challenging puzzles mixed in the world, and a lot of them weren't extremely repetitive. Each one kind of had its own little theme or its own little way of being solved, and I liked it. Like I said, it brought some breath into the game and it helped push the game forward, in my opinion. Now, as far as it comes with the enemies are limited, but with just the same type but in different environments. So let me explain. Now, you go through a bunch of different type of biomes, and you're gonna have enemies in each biome. You're gonna have enemies that are the same type, same species, but for different biomes. And they pretty much take the same damage, so you keep that in mind. Now, you do run into some new enemies that give you a lot of problems towards the end of the game, and you really have to learn how to take them down. But I want to say through 80% of the game, well, more like 70-75%, you're going to run across the same type of enemies, and you're going to learn how to take them down fast. The thing is just whether you have the right equipment to take them down when you come across them, or you're going to have to improvise, which is what I did. But once you figure out their patterns and weaknesses, it becomes easy. Like I said, when you get towards the end and you encounter a couple of brand new ones, they are annoying. But I'll save that for anybody that completes the game. Now, you have a few boss fights, and they can be challenging, especially when you first fighting them and you're trying to figure out weaknesses, trying to figure out how to take them down. They can be a little annoying. But once you figure out their moves, you figure out what they're weak against, you figure out how to cause damage, it's pretty much a waiting game at that point. You're waiting to get that right opening to cause the most damage. But it is very satisfying when you take them down. Now, it roughly took me about 10 hours to beat the game, and at a price of around $40, I thought that was okay, especially having 3 levels of difficulty that you can play the game in. And I played it in the medium difficulty, and that was challenging enough. Now, graphics wise, the game looks and plays smoothly, and I'm so happy to say that. After Wanted Dead's review and just me trying to play through Atomic Heart on my own, it is nice to play a game that is optimized and running smoothly on PC. I recorded most of this at ultra settings, so it's looking the best. Now, it's not the most extremely detailed game, but it does look nice. It does run smoothly. The only major issues I saw were mainly in the cutscenes. Either the cutscenes would freeze up for a second or completely froze while the audio still kept going. And the facial animations of the characters talking was kind of tough to get through. Voice acting was okay, good. It was just the way their mouths moved when they was talking. It was just like, can I skip this scene? But the gameplay was solid. There was little to no lag. And like I said, after playing Wanted Dead and going through Atomic Heart, it is a breath of fresh air for me playing on PC. And that's pretty much the review in a nutshell. With that being said, let's take a look at the pros versus the cons. And starting off with the pros, the first thing we're going to talk about is the combat. Even though you may be fighting enemies repetitively, the combat is fun. It feels great. Like I said, once you figure out how to take down certain enemies, or you figure out which weapons work best, sometimes you clearing through them. Now, it gets challenging when you have different types all fighting you at once, and they don't sit around trying to take you out. They don't let you take them down one by one. They all fight you at the same time. So if you fight a group of them, you got to keep moving it, and I like that. So the next pro we're gonna look at is the story. Now, I expected this story to be kind of like cut and dry, very simple. Oh, this is what happened, this is what happened next. And honestly, as the game progressed, the story got deeper and took me for a twist I wasn't expecting. So that was a big thing. I thought this was probably gonna be like maybe a 4-hour, 5-hour gameplay through, and it ended up being almost 10 hours because of the 5 hours I wasn't expecting. Good job on that. The story was good, kept it going, kept me wanting to find out like what was really going on. So kudos on that. And the last pro we're gonna look at is the price. Like I said, for $40 for a 10-hour story-driven survival third-person shooter game, I thought that was pretty good. Like, in my opinion, if the graphics probably improved just a little bit more, the facial animations, the cutscenes would work better, this could definitely be a AAA experience. But I can definitely tell that this game was made by developers that cared, that had a passion, that had a vision for this game. And in my opinion, you guys hit it without a doubt. So kudos on that, and good job with the price. Now with the pros done, let's take a look at the cons. You can imagine what the first con is going to be, because I've mentioned it several times. it is the cutscenes. So the cutscenes, they can freeze on you, they can lag on you. The audio still keep going, so that's good. And the facial animations can make you cringe. I think I said enough on that. So the second one we're gonna look at is the enemy variety. Now, like I said, you're pretty much gonna come across the same type of enemies for like 3/4 of the game, just different biomes. And once you figure out how to take them out in one biome, you're just going to the next one. So I can see people getting bored with that. Like I said, it gets interesting when you're fighting different types and they all come at you at once. That gets interesting. But otherwise, you're fighting the same type of enemy, so that can seem kind of boring. It's kind of like, I just want to get through this. And the last kind I can see is honestly the puzzles. Some people may get mad about the puzzles. Some people may get upset about the puzzles. Some people may throw the game down because of the puzzles. And that's fair enough. Puzzles ain't for everybody. But I can say in his defense, as you start figuring out the puzzles, they start giving you clues. So that does help. But if you're not into puzzles, you may not like this game because you come across puzzles and you're a scientist. That's your job to figure out how this stuff works. But that's pretty much the pros and the cons. Overall, I have to give this game a like. I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed playing through it. I may play through it again on a higher difficulty level. I may just stream this game with my community and just have fun with it. But I think it was a good game. I thought it was a good third-person survival shooter. Definitely fun, good for the price. Good game in my opinion. But that's just my thoughts. As usual, let me know how you guys feel. If you already got the game, what you like, what you don't like about it. If you think about getting the game, I hope the pros and cons help you out. As always, you guys can catch me on my social media, see what I'm up to on there. I'll be back streaming very soon, which I'm so excited for. And that'll be about it. So I will catch you guys later.